Tonight, our main speaker is Jeannine. Help me welcome Jeannine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeannine. I'm an alcoholic. And my sobriety date is April 6, 1979. I have 40 years. Yeah. Wow. I never thought I would get this much time. But, because like in the last year of my drinking, I thought I would be dead by the age of 40. I really did. I thought I was kind of like drinking suicidally. I was, alone. I drank alone, and my whole life had fallen apart, and it was just, screw everything, And I thought, I had no idea that there was, that my life was going to change when I got sober. But I was aware of the program. I was aware of AA because my mother got sober when I was 8 years old. And there was she passed away a couple years ago, and she had 54 years when she died. And AA and the fellowship was a huge part of her life, and it has been with me too. When I first got sober, I thought I was insane, is what I thought. And because I just had, it was like a psychosis. And, the drinking, it wasn't really, I don't know. I couldn't get a grip. Everything was just so messed up, and I had hallucinations, and I had all kinds of things going on, and I thought I was going insane. And so I asked my mom, I think I need a psychiatrist. I think I need some help. And she goes, oh, honey, let's just go to an AA meeting. And I'm like, and you can see how that works for you. And I did. So I went to some AA meetings, and it was her thing, and I didn't have a great relationship with my mother. And so I found I found a group of people that were my age. I was 24, and at that time there weren't a lot of people our age, my age then. And but there were some. And I remember there's a girl that was 17. And so it was in Manhattan Beach, California. And I just started, it was a clubhouse, so it was a Alano club. And I just started just showing up there all the time. And I went to some meetings, and they said, if you're not sure, if you're not sure you're really an alcoholic, why don't you go try drinking again and see how it is? And I thought, because I was so in denial. There's no way that I can drink, and I know that now, looking back. But at the time, it's like, no, I still need to party, I still need to have fun. This can't be over. I don't want to die, and not, there's no fun, after. I can't see how you can have fun without it, And so what I did is I went home and I drank, and it was the strangest thing. It did not affect me the way it did when I first drank. It didn't give me that really warm, fuzzy feeling, like, oh, everything's great. The first time I drank, it was like, this is what I always wanted, It made me feel really good. And I did not have that feeling. It was gone. It was just gone. And that's when I realized, that I couldn't do it anymore. So I started out when I was 14 with pot, and so I went to parties, and that's when I would drink. And I noticed right away that I had to have more. I couldn't have just one drink. I just couldn't. There was no way. I remember sitting in a circle of people, on the floor, and they were passing around a jug of Red Mountain wine and a joint, And I got up, and I moved around the circle so I could always be where the bottle was going to be next. And that was the first time I got drunk, And so, and because my mother was in the program, I knew in the back of my mind, because she told me, if you can't stop drinking once you start, you're probably an alcoholic, so you better, check that out. And so even though I saw that, it was like, oh no, this is way too fun, there's no way. And so I would just drink, with parties and stuff like that. I got pretty addicted to marijuana. I smoked that a lot and, other things. And also psychedelics at that time. And, I was a spiritual seeker. I was always looking, for enlightenment. And what is the meaning of life, And, and so I had like that aspect of myself. And then I had this other aspect of myself that was like, kind of self-destructive. And, I didn't know how to handle my emotions. And when I got angry or something like that, or things didn't go my way, then I'd want to drink or get loaded. And because I didn't know how to deal with it. I had no tools. I didn't know how to deal with all that stuff, all those feelings, and I try, with my friends, like, can you help me out, and when I was 16, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and he was given 6 months to live twice, and also, but he didn't, he died like when he was like 89, but, and we went through some financial situations. My dad was an inventor. He invented a beer tapping system for beer kegs. He was a beer distributor. And so he manufactured that for a while, but then the patent got stolen. And, so there were ups and downs with that. Which that reminds me, when I was maybe about 6, this is probably what made my mom stop drinking, was we had a warehouse full of beer on our property. I lived in Montana, and because my dad was a beer distributor, so lots of beer. And but people would try to break in, and so my mom had a shotgun. And one night I heard some noise, and I went down the hall, and I didn't know at the time, and honestly, it took me a long time, even after I got sober, to realize she was in a blackout, because it was so shocking. But she chased me down the hall with this shotgun, and I just played dead. It was very traumatic. It was really very traumatic, and so I had some trauma, and so I didn't have a great relationship with my mom. It was a little difficult, and but accepting AA was kind of hard in that way. But when I got with people my age, and there were people there that had a lot of time at the club. It was a club, an Al-Anon club, and you could go like pretty much 24 hours a day. And they told me, whenever you feel like drinking or using, call somebody or just show up. Just come on down. And it was so fantastic to be able to do that. And it was a really great clubhouse. They had a room called the Crying Room. So if you were feeling really bad, you could go in there and and somebody would talk to you. It was really an interesting way to get. So it was fun. It was really great. I met people that I'm still friends with today. So the first day of my sobriety, after I had that last drink, there was a birthday party for a girl that had a year. And so I went to this party, and everybody was having such a great time. It was not like the people that I drank with, and laughing. There's so much laughter in these rooms, and so much good humor and joking. I mean, you got to laugh. I mean, we don't have to be. It's really good to laugh. It's really, really good to laugh. And I found people that were able to, make me laugh at the dumbest things and at myself, and not take things so seriously. And so when I started, I got a sponsor. And so my first inventory was like an autobiography. It was about 40 pages long. And it was how much of a victim I was. And, I'm such a victim. And my mom was this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, okay, hon, I read my inventory to her. And there were some things in there. And she had worse things, and got on our knees and we did the third step prayer. And I just felt like, wow, somebody hears me. And that was really huge because I drank alone, and I didn't always drink, always. I mean, I partied, but then that stopped working, and then I drank alone. And so, you know, alcoholism and addiction, you know, it's a disease of not being connected and not being connected with other people, not being even connected with yourself. You know, we disconnect, we kind of leave our bodies, you know, if there's too much pain or whatever, and it's really hard to, you know, to connect sometimes. So, you know, for me it was just showing up at meetings constantly, and that's what I did. And there were a lot of people that did that with me. And so I thought, you know, there's no way I can ever, you know, make a, you know, like 30 days. And pretty soon it's like 30 days. I'm like, wow. And then no way, you know, 60 days. It's in a year, you know. But I had such support through this group, and we'd go to dances and all kinds of stuff, and I really had a lot of fun, actually. So, however, I could hardly talk my first year. And so even though I'm like hanging out with these people, I could talk like on a one-to-one with somebody, but I was so shy. I was so withdrawn. I think somebody had to raise my hand, you know, like the first 30, you know, the first few days, like, she's now, I'm okay, alcoholic. And I was terrified. I was completely terrified. And, you know, because I didn't know what was going to happen. But then, you know, people that I got sober with would start talking about how their lives had changed. And, you know, I remember this girl, she'd get up on her chair and she'd go, "Don't drink before the miracle." And she'd go, "I swear to God." And she'd tell some story about some incredible twist of fate that happened to her, and that just changed her life. And, you know, I started seeing that in all these people, and pretty soon I'm like, wow, something like that, you know, would happen for me. And so it's, you know, God is doing for me what I couldn't do for myself, including staying sober. So as I was saying, I had this sort of spiritual side that I was always interested in, spirituality, and then I had this sort of self-destructive side. And so I had this concept of God, but, you know, it wasn't a practical, I didn't really, you know, connect with it. And so by working the steps, I started to develop a relationship with God, with my higher power. And, you know, at first people said, well, if you don't know how to, you know, conceive of God, just, you know, a light bulb, or it's the group, or, you know, just doesn't matter, you know, just pick something. And just, if it has, you know, more power than you, then, you know, go with that until it starts to come in. And, you know, so I did that, and, you know, pretty soon I started having like this sense of connection, you know, with my higher power. And you know, I remember making a list of things I wanted to happen, you know, like, I want a job, and I want to make this much money, and, you know, I want the, you know, and you know, I put it in a God box, just all these things. And a few months later, I take it out and, like, check, check. All those things happened, and it was like, I never thought they would, you know. We tell ourselves stories sometimes that things are going to be a certain way forever, and it's not really necessarily true at all. We sometimes stand in our own way, and so the whole, I don't know, just sort of just letting go and trusting this process here really saved my life. Really, really saved my life. And I made some incredible friends along the way, and it's been amazing. So, yeah, let's see. So, okay, well, I got involved in a relationship really early on, and I got married, and then that didn't work out. I got divorced and married again, but I ended up like getting these interesting jobs. I worked for a record company for a while. It was like, how did I get that job? I went to record release parties and all of this stuff. I went to MTV Music Video Awards shows and stuff like that. And I didn't drink. I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to use, you know, because I can't. You know, it just doesn't work for me. I stopped with the with the drugs pretty much by the age of 17 because I was so spaced out from the pot that I couldn't function. You know, I just could not. I couldn't speak. I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. And, you know, I realized, you know, this is not how you're supposed to be, I guess, you know. And, you know, when you're... So I was able to just stop that. But what I did was I turned to alcohol. And so that's when I really started drinking because I needed something to make me feel better, you know. It's like I didn't know how to deal with my feelings. And I started learning how to deal with my feelings in the program. And when I was new, I did not know how I felt. I mean, I could not identify an emotion really, you know, and with really any certainty. I was just terrified, just one big, you know, that's it. But, you know, people started helping me identify my feelings. And that was a really interesting thing. And it took like about 3 years before I was like, no, I don't feel like that. Now I know how I feel. But it took me quite a while to kind of like come in. And because I was pretty out there, you know, I was pretty out there in my head, I guess. And I've had a few different sponsors. I eventually did the fourth step, you know, the right way with the columns and all of that. And, you know, I found a really, really good sponsor, like at about 10 years. And, but people said, you know, when you pick a sponsor, pick somebody that's not going to co-sign your bullshit. You know, they're not going to like, you know, oh, okay, if that's how you feel, you know, they're going to like, you know, no, I see what you're doing, and they'll call you on it, which is a scary proposition. But, you know, they said, you know, if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to make it, you know. And there's a lot of people that, you know, if you really want to make it, you can. You know, this program's for people that really want it. So you have to really want it. And it's scary to be honest with yourself, you know. It's really, really scary. It takes a lot of courage, but you don't have to do it all at once, you know. You don't have to like, but it's just like little by little, I was able, as I got in touch with my feelings, to, you know, talk about myself more honestly. And as I did that, I felt more in touch with everybody else because we're all going through stuff, you know. And, you know, I tried to hide how I felt and all of that. And the more I tried to do that, the more distance I felt and the more fear I felt. So as I was able to learn how to be honest with myself, it really, really, that makes a huge difference in your life. It just really makes a huge difference. And like I said, it's just one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. and I took that to heart. I took that to heart. That's what I did. Like today, I can only do it 1 second at a time. And I remember like going to the first job that I had in sobriety, and I'd have to go into the bathroom and do the third step prayer because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think. You know, it's like I had all these crazy thoughts going on, and you know, but I just did stuff. I just did what I was told. You know, just do that. Because it was because I couldn't grab a hold of anything in my mind, you know, like that made sense to do, and you know, if I wanted to feel better, so I just did what they said, and you know what, it just started working, and this program, it starts to work you, you know, you work it, you do the footwork, but eventually it kind of starts to work you without you even knowing it. It just starts to. You know, it's like pretty soon you're like, wow, you know, I used to react like that, and now I'm not, you know, and I deal with it, you know, the promises. They actually, when I first heard the promises, I thought, there's no way, are you kidding? I did not think that they were going to happen for me. I just didn't. And as I thought I would never, you know, not know how to handle situations that would used to baffle me. I thought, no, I'm stuck with that. And no, pretty soon I found that I was able to do that, and more and more and more and more. And that's what happens as you stay sober, is that more and more you can handle things that used to baffle you. The promises do come true. They do happen, but you have to work for them. So let's see. Yeah, and it takes a lot of time sometimes to work through stuff, you know. But you know, for me, I was really determined to be happy, joyous, and free. I mean, I was really, it's like, that's what I wanted. I wanted that. And so I was willing to do the work to get that. And I don't have to drink or use to feel that way. And, you know, people would tell me, you know, I was so quiet when I came in, people would say, pretty soon we're not going to be able to shut you up. And you won't have to drink, you know, to talk. I used to have to drink to talk because I was just very, very shy. And that's true. That happened. And I just never would have thought that, you know. So let's see. Yeah, powerlessness. Yeah. So yeah, I am definitely powerless over alcohol, and you know, we can feel. I don't know. I can feel powerless. I felt really powerless when I came in as well, and I don't know. It's like then, but you know, like I was saying, as I connected with my higher power, you know, I started to feel that I didn't have to figure things out, that they just, you know, that things were working out the way they were supposed to. All I had to do was just turn things over to God, do the footwork, and that's what I did. So let's see. I'm kind of running out of stuff. So, but you know, it's just been so amazing, and I never thought I'd have 40 years. Honestly, I really did think, yeah, no way. And the fellowship is a really huge part of my program. You know, I go to meetings all the time. My mom, who had 54 when she died, she went to meetings all the time. It was her whole life. She made all of her friends in there. And there's people from all walks of life here. That's another really interesting thing. You know, alcohol and drugs, you know, they can be a great equalizer. So, you know, you can be on any walk of life. It's the same disease, you know, and it kind of takes everybody down. You know, it can. It has that ability. It has that power. And there's just, I've met the most amazing people in AA. Lifelong friends, you know, lifelong friends, and support. So I know, like, whatever I'm going through, no matter what it is today, I have somebody I can talk to about it. And, you know, that's just priceless, you know, just a lot of support. And so I feel connected, and I have friends, and I didn't have friends back then. So I'm just eternally grateful. I love AA. I don't like all the work you have to do. I don't like, you know, like some of this, you know, you go through ups and downs, you know, and nobody likes that. But, you know, you just hang in there. And like I said, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. Everything, it'll pass, you know. That's what I had to do. And it did. And then amazing things would happen. And then, you know, but that's life. And so I've really gotten more of a spiritual connection the longer I've been sober. So I have this really great relationship with my higher. I've deepened my spiritual program. Let's just put it that way. And it's really just the core of my life. And I'm not like a religious person at all. It's spiritual. And so that is really important to me, and you know, I nurture that. I take care of that, and yep. I guess I'm kind of done. So yeah, thank you, everybody.